very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, to train them is my...
What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Bandai SH Figuarts Arts Remix Mewtwo. And so here we have Mewtwo posed and out of the packaging. Before we have a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what he comes with. Mewtwo does come with two alternate head sculpts. He comes with a head where he's looking straight forward, which looks really nice. And then we also do get a head where he's looking off to the left. Mewtwo also does come with an alternate hand with a peg, and that peg is for his Shadow Ball effect, and it does peg into the hand really nicely. Mewtwo's final accessory is, of course, a Tamashii stage, which he kind of does need it, because the way I have him posed, I have his tail on the floor. Mewtwo normally has his tail up, but this figure cannot stand unless he has 3 points on your surface, or if he has a Tamashii stage holding him up, because these feet are terrible for standing. But other than that, Mewtwo doesn't come with anything else, so let's actually take a closer look at his details. And so here we have a closer look at Mewtwo, and I think they did a really good job capturing the likeness of this character, and it's done really, really well. Now, just like Blastoise, he is a reissue from the D-Arts line. He's not an exact re-release for the D-Arts. This is, of course, the SH Figuarts Arts Remix line. He does have a separate head, which we never got with the original D-Arts version. I believe the original D-Arts just came with the head where he's looking straight forward, but the D-Arts also did come with Mew, which I love Mew, and I just wish I had a Mew to go with this Mewtwo. But other than that, he still looks really, really nice, and I do love the shade of purple they went with. It's a really light lavender color, and it looks really, really nice. I just love his piercing purple eyes. Those are done really well. You can see his mouth is also done well as his nose. You can see his little... I always want to believe this is a second brainstem because Mewtwo is a psychic Pokemon, and I want to say that that does help psychic energies. But they did a really good job sculpting Mewtwo. Now has really odd proportions for a figure just because the design of the character is kind of strange. He looks like a genetic kangaroo, honestly. His lower half is really, really wide and thick, and then he has this really narrow torso. Taking a look at his hands, they did a really good job with his hands. You can see he just has the 3 fingers, which is the way Mewtwo is supposed to look, so I do like that. We do have a look at his stomach here, and you can see that there's a darker shade of purple there, going all the way down to his toes, which they've done really well. You can see he has 2 toes right here. And I want to say that that might be a dew claw up there, but that's not for me to decide. That's just how his design is. And then we do have this really nice segmented tail, and it does go all the way to the tip. As you can see, it's just done pretty well. There's other ways that they could have gone about making his tail, but the segmented look is probably okay. It holds its shape pretty well for the most part. But overall, just love the colors on this figure, and he looks really, really nice. If you have a Smash display or a Pokemon display, this figure is going to look really good with those figures. So, what we're going to do now is actually get Mewtwo compared to other figures you may have in your collection. So, here we have Mewtwo posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Mewtwo posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Mewtwo posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. Here we have Mewtwo posed next to an SH Figuarts Ash and an SH Figuarts Team Rocket. And finally, here we have Mewtwo posed next to the SH Figuarts Remix Blastoise. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at Mewtwo's articulation. Mewtwo does have a single ball joint here in the head. If we can pull his head off, you can see it's just a giant ball peg that his head just slides onto. You do want to attach his little brainstem in the back of his head, and I do like the fact that it does adjust accordingly, so it does move in and out Mewtwo's range in his head, he can tilt left and right. He can look up quite a bit, can look down slightly. Again, tilts, turns left and right, although you want to be careful because this will pop out if you do turn it too much. He does have a ball joint here in the neck, which allows him to move just a little bit more. We have a ball joint here in the shoulder, although we get some really slight up and down, forward, back, so really slight movement there, but it does go all the way out. Does do a full 360, although it does kick out to the side just because of how Mewtwo's shoulder is designed. We do have a swivel right here in his bicep, double bend in Mewtwo's elbow. We have a ball joint in the wrist, no issues there, and then each of his fingers are articulated on their own little ball joint, so I do like that. We do have a ball joint here in the torso, which does let him crunch forward, back, side to side, as well as rotate. And then we also do get a secondary ball joint, I think. It feels like a ball joint, and it's a single ball joint, but it does move forward and back, left and right, and we do get some slight rotation there. Hips are on, I want to say, a hinged ball peg, because they do drop down to about there. They move back into position, go out to about there, and if you drop them down, they do go out a little bit further. They do kick all the way up if you really wanted to. You could have Mewtwo's leg go all the way around. Again, we don't have too much swivel in there, but he does have somewhat of a swivel. His knee, ankle, I don't know the proper term for this. I want to say his knee is up here, so I think this is his ankle. We do have a hinge which goes forward and back, as well as rotates, and then his ankle, knee, whatever you want to call it, is on its own individual ball joint, so that does rock side to side if you really wanted to. And then we do have a ball joint right here in his toes, so that works okay. It's not the best. We do have some rotation, some side to side, and very little up and down. As far as his tail goes, every piece right here is on a double ball joint, so we do have a double ball joint right here. So we can get the tail in any position that you really want it. It doesn't do straight 90-degree bends, but it does move pretty well, and I do like that, and it's a really nice little thing that you can have Mewtwo posed. Again, you just need a stand to help him maintain balance, because these feet are terrible for standing him, so do be aware that you will need the stand unless you have his tail on the floor, which Mewtwo never drags his tail, so that's honestly not a good way to have him posed. So, with his articulation out of the way, let's actually move on to my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have Mewtwo posed for my final thoughts. Overall, he's a really nice figure, and I love the way he came out. A few issues I do have with this figure is that the head where he's looking off to the left does pop off and on a little bit too easy, and it is kind of loose on mine. And this figure really cannot stand under his own power unless you have his tail on the ground. Which, that's not really how Mewtwo stands at all. Mewtwo never has his tail on the ground, so he kind of does need a stand at all times, which I know shelf space is kind of a big deal with a lot of people, and having a figure that needs a stand all the time does take up some real estate. However, if you have him posed properly, it's not a big deal. As you can see, I do have Mewtwo on his stage right now, and his tail is leaning up against it, so it's taking up about the same space. Now, if you are looking for a Mewtwo to add to your collection, unfortunately he is sold out at most online retailers. I was lucky enough to pick up mine from BigBadToyStore.com, where he did cost me about $70, and that was after tax or before tax and shipping. So Mewtwo here was a kind of expensive, but overall I still love the way he came out, especially since I did miss out on the first D-Arts release. I might just go ahead and try to track down that Mew from this release. Otherwise, I think he's an exceptional figure that will fit in with any collector for Pokemon, Smash, or any reason you need a Mewtwo in your collection. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, go check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Pokemon and Figuarts reviews. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you'd like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely take a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.